The rain fell hard against the tall windows of Windsor Manor. Inside the Grand Palace, Princess Isabella stood alone in the library. Her hands shook as she held an old envelope. The wax seal was broken. The letter inside changed everything. Her father, King Edward, had died 3 months ago. Everyone mourned him. The whole kingdom wore black. But Isabella's grief was different now. It was mixed with anger and confusion. The letter was written in her father's handwriting. She recognized every curve of each word, but the words themselves made no sense. How could her father have kept such a secret? "Your Highness, you should not be reading that." Isabella turned quickly. Lord Richard stood in the doorway. He was her father's oldest advisor. His face looked worried and tired. "Why not?" Isabella asked. Her voice was stronger than she felt. "This letter is addressed to me." Lord Richard walked closer. His old shoes made soft sounds on the marble floor. "That letter was supposed to be destroyed. Your father made me promise." "But you did not destroy it," Isabella said. She held the letter against her chest. "You kept it hidden in his private desk." "Why?" The old man sat down in a leather chair. He suddenly looked very old and very sad. "Because some promises are harder to keep than others. Your father wanted to protect you, but I thought you deserved the truth." Isabella sat down across from him. The letter felt heavy in her hands. "Tell me everything. From the beginning." Lord Richard took a deep breath. "Your father loved your mother very much. Queen Charlotte was the light of his life. When she died giving birth to you, something inside him died too." Isabella knew this story. Everyone knew how her mother had died. It was the kingdom's greatest tragedy. But there was something nobody knew, Lord Richard continued. "Before she died, your mother made your father promise something. She made him write it down and seal it with a ring." "What promise?" Isabella whispered. "She made him promise that you would never marry for politics, never marry for the kingdom, only for love." Lord Richard's eyes were wet with tears. "She knew how royal marriages work. She knew you would be used as a tool for alliances and treaties. She did not want that for you." Isabella's heart beat faster. "But I am engaged to Prince Alexander of Northland. The wedding is in 2 months. Father arranged it himself before he died." "Yes," Lord Richard said sadly. "And that is why he wanted this letter destroyed. He broke his promise to your mother. The alliance with Northland was too important. The kingdom needed it." Isabella stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the palace guards walking in the rain. Everything looked normal. But nothing was normal anymore. "Does Alexander know about this letter?" she asked. "No, nobody knows except you and me now." Isabella turned around. "And my stepmother, Queen Victoria? Does she know?" Lord Richard's face became hard. "Your stepmother knows many things. She was the one who pushed your father to arrange your marriage to Alexander. She said it was for the good of the kingdom." Isabella had never liked her stepmother. Victoria had married her father only 2 years after her mother's death. She was cold and calculating. She cared more about power than people. "I do not love Alexander," Isabella said quietly. "I barely know him. We have met only 3 times. I know, Your Highness. But if I break the engagement now, it will cause a war. Northland will see it as an insult. Thousands of people could die." Lord Richard stood up slowly. He walked to Isabella and put a gentle hand on her shoulder. "That is the burden of being royal. Every choice affects thousands of lives. Your mother knew that. That is why she made your father promise." Isabella looked down at the letter again. Her mother's handwriting was on the outside. One word: Isabella. "What should I do?" she asked. "I cannot tell you that," Lord Richard said. "But I can tell you this. In 3 days, Prince Alexander will arrive for the pre-wedding celebrations. Queen Victoria has planned everything. The whole kingdom will be watching." Isabella's mind was racing. 3 days. In 3 days, she had to make a choice. honor her mother's wish and risk a war, or marry a man she did not love and dishonor her mother's memory. There is one more thing, Lord Richard said. He reached into his coat and pulled out another envelope. This came yesterday. It is from someone in Northland, someone who claims to know secrets about Prince Alexander, secrets that Queen Victoria does not want you to know. Isabella took the envelope. Her hands were shaking again. Who sent this? I do not know, but whoever they are risking their life to warn you. Before Isabella could open the letter, a loud knock came at the door. A servant entered and bowed low. Your Highness, Queen Victoria requests your presence immediately. Prince Alexander has arrived early. He is waiting in the throne room. Isabella's blood turned cold. He was here 3 days early. Why? She looked at Lord Richard. He nodded slightly. Whatever happened next would change everything. Isabella hid both letters in her dress. She lifted her chin high and walked toward the door. Behind her, Lord Richard whispered one last thing. Your mother was the bravest woman I ever knew. I see her in you.
Isabella walked through the long hallway. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. The letters hidden in her dress felt like they were burning against her skin. Why had Prince Alexander arrived 3 days early? What was he hiding? 2 royal guards opened the heavy doors to the throne room. Isabella stepped inside. The room was filled with people. Nobles, advisors, and servants all turned to look at her. In the center stood Queen Victoria, wearing a cold smile. And next to her stood Prince Alexander. He was tall and handsome. His dark hair was perfectly brushed. His uniform was covered with medals and gold buttons. He looked like a perfect prince from a storybook. But when Isabella looked into his eyes, she saw something that made her uncomfortable. His eyes were empty and cold. Ah, there she is, Queen Victoria said loudly. My dear stepdaughter. Come, Isabella. Your future husband has traveled far to see you. Prince Alexander stepped forward and took Isabella's hand. He kissed it gently. His lips were cold. Princess Isabella, he said with a smooth voice. You are even more beautiful than I remembered. Isabella forced herself to smile. Prince Alexander, we did not expect you for 3 more days. I cannot wait any longer, he said. But his eyes did not match his words. I wanted to spend more time with my future wife before the wedding. Queen Victoria clapped her hands together. How romantic. Come, let's all celebrate in the dining hall. I have prepared a feast. Actually, Isabella said quickly, I need a few moments alone with Prince Alexander first. We have much to discuss. Queen Victoria's smile disappeared for a second. Then it came back, but harder. Of course. How thoughtful. But do not take too long. Our guests are waiting. The nobles and servants slowly left the throne room. Queen Victoria was the last to leave. As she walked past Isabella, she whispered, Remember your duty, child. Do not do anything foolish. Then Isabella and Prince Alexander were alone. The silence felt heavy. Isabella walked to the window. She needed to think clearly. You seem troubled, Alexander said behind her. Why are you really here early? Isabella asked. She did not turn around. Alexander laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Direct. I like that. Most princesses just smile and nod. I'm not most princesses. No, Alexander said slowly. You are not. That is why I need to tell you something. Something important. Isabella turned around now. Alexander's face had changed. The fake warmth was gone. Now he looked serious and almost scared. I do not want to marry you, he said. Isabella's eyes went wide. Of all the things she expected him to say, this was not one of them. What? I do not want this marriage, Alexander repeated. But I have no choice. Just like you have no choice. Isabella walked closer to him. Explain. Alexander sat down on the steps leading to the throne. He put his head in his hands. My father, the king of Northland, is dying. He has maybe 6 months to live. My older brother, Prince Marcus, was supposed to be the next king. But Marcus does not want the crown. He ran away 2 years ago. Nobody knows where he is. I heard rumors about that, Isabella said softly. So I became the heir. But there is a problem. Our kingdom's law says a king must be married before he can take the throne. If I am not married when my father dies, the crown goes to my uncle. And my uncle is a terrible man. He will destroy Northland. Isabella sat down next to him on the steps. So you need to marry someone quickly. Yes. And your stepmother, Queen Victoria, offered you. She said this marriage would create a strong alliance. She said you would agree because it was your duty. She never asked me, Isabella said bitterly. I know. I am sorry. Alexander looked at her with real sadness in his eyes. I wanted to tell you the truth. That is why I came early. Before all the celebrations and ceremonies make it impossible to speak honestly. Isabella thought about the letters hidden in her dress. Should she trust him? Or was this another trick? Is there someone else? She asked. Someone you love? Alexander's face turned red. He looked away. There was. Her name is Elena. She is a musician in my father's court. We grew up together. But a prince cannot marry a musician. It is forbidden. Isabella felt something break inside her chest. They were the same. Both trapped by duty. Both forced to give up love for the crown. I received a letter, Isabella said quietly. About you. Someone from Northland sent it. They said you have secrets. Alexander stood up quickly. What kind of letter? Who sent it? I have not read it yet. It came yesterday. Let me see it, Alexander said. His voice was urgent now. Isabella pulled the second letter from her dress. She broke the seal and read it out loud. Dear Princess Isabella, you must not marry Prince Alexander. He is not who he seems. Ask him about the Silver Guards. Ask him about the Night of Fire. Ask him what happened to Lady Catherine. If you marry him, you will be in great danger. A friend. The color drained from Alexander's face. It looked like he might faint. Who is Lady Catherine? Isabella demanded. Alexander backed away from her. I cannot tell you. You said you came here to be honest. This is different, Alexander shouted. Then he lowered his voice. This is dangerous. If anyone knows I told you. The throne room doors suddenly burst open. A young man in guard uniform ran inside. He was breathing hard. Your Highness, Prince Alexander, you must come quickly. There has been an attack. What kind of attack? Alexander asked. The royal stables are on fire. Someone set them on fire deliberately. And the guard hesitated. They left a message burned into the stable door. What message? Isabella asked. The guard looked terrified. It says, the truth will burn everything. Isabella and Alexander looked at each other. Someone knew their secrets. Someone was watching them. And whoever it was, they were willing to destroy the palace to reveal the truth. Isabella ran through the palace hallways. Alexander was right behind her. They could smell the smoke before they even reached the stables. Outside, the night sky glowed orange. Flames rose high into the air. Servants ran with buckets of water. Horses screamed in fear. The royal guard were trying to save the animals and stop the fire from spreading. Get all the horses out, Alexander shouted to the guards. He ran toward the burning building without thinking. Stop, Isabella grabbed his arm. You will die in there. Those horses will die if we do nothing. A loud crash came from inside the stable. Part of the roof fell down. More flames shot up into the sky. Then Isabella saw something that made her blood run cold. On the stable door, burned black into the wood, were the words, "The truth will burn everything." But there was more. Below the message was a symbol. A circle with a sword through it. Isabella had seen that symbol before, but she could not remember where. Queen Victoria appeared beside them. Her face was white with anger. Who did this? Who dares attack the royal palace? We do not know yet, Your Majesty, a guard captain said. But we found this near the stable. He held up a piece of cloth. It was red with a silver edge. Alexander's face went pale. No, it cannot be. What is it? Isabella asked. The Silver Guards, Alexander whispered. Queen Victoria grabbed Alexander's shoulder. What do you know about this? Speak now. Before Alexander could answer, Lord Richard pushed through the crowd. He was out of breath and looked frightened. Your Highness, he said to Isabella, come with me. Now, it is not safe here. I will not leave until... Now, Lord Richard's voice was so sharp that Isabella stepped back in shock. She had never heard him yell before. Lord Richard pulled Isabella away from the fire. They went to a small guardhouse near the palace walls. Once inside, he locked the door. "What is happening?" Isabella demanded. Lord Richard walked to the window and looked out. "The Silver Guards are here, in the palace. They have come for Prince Alexander." "Who are the Silver Guards?" "They are a secret group from Northland. Very dangerous. Very powerful. They believe the royal family of Northland is corrupt and evil. They want to destroy it." Isabella felt her head spinning. "But why attack our palace? Why burn our stables?" "Because Prince Alexander is here. And because—" Lord Richard turned to look at her. "Because of Lady Catherine." There was that name again. The same name from the mysterious letter. "Who is she?" Isabella asked. Lord Richard sat down heavily. Lady Catherine was Prince Alexander's cousin. She was beautiful and kind. Everyone loved her. 3 years ago, she discovered something terrible about Alexander's father, the King of Northland. She found out he was stealing money from the people and using it to build weapons. What happened to her? She tried to tell the truth. She tried to warn everyone, but the king had her arrested. He said she was a traitor and a liar. Lord Richard's voice became quiet. They took her to the Silver Tower. She was never seen again. Isabella felt sick. Did they kill her? Nobody knows. But the Silver Guards believe Alexander knew about it. They believe he helped his father hide the truth. They want revenge. But Alexander said he does not want to be king. He seems like he does not want any of this. Maybe he is telling the truth. Or maybe he is a very good liar. Lord Richard looked at Isabella with serious eyes. "Either way, you're in danger now. If you marry him, the Silver Guards will see you as their enemy too." A loud bang came from outside. Then another. Then screaming. Isabella ran to the window. In the courtyard, she saw men in dark clothes fighting with the royal guards. They moved fast like shadows. They had swords and knives. "They are inside the palace walls," Isabella whispered. The door to the guardhouse suddenly shook. Someone was trying to break it down. "Get behind me," Lord Richard said. He pulled out a small sword from his coat. The door burst open, but it was not a Silver Guard. It was Alexander. He was bleeding from his arm. His uniform was torn. "They are everywhere," he shouted. "We need to get to the safe room." "I'm not going anywhere with you," Isabella said. "Lord Richard told me about Lady Catherine." Alexander's face showed pain, not from his wound, but from her words. "I did not know what my father did to her. I swear, I was away at military school when it happened. When I came back, she was already gone." "Liar," Isabella shouted. "I am telling the truth. Catherine was like a sister to me. When I found out what happened, I confronted my father. He threatened to kill me too if I spoke about it." Another explosion rocked the palace. Windows shattered somewhere nearby. "We do not have time for this," Lord Richard said. "We must move now or we all die." They ran out of the guardhouse. Smoke filled the air. Fire was spreading from the stables to other buildings. People were running and screaming everywhere. A man in dark clothes appeared in front of them. He wore a silver mask that covered half his face. In his hand was a long sword. "Prince Alexander," the man said in a cold voice. "Finally, I have waited 3 years for this moment." "Who are you?" Alexander asked. The man removed his mask. Isabella gasped. The man's face was badly scarred, but she could see he was young, maybe only 20 years old. "You do not remember me?" the man said. "I am Thomas, Lady Catherine's brother, and I am here to make you pay for what you did to my sister." He raised his sword and charged at Alexander. Isabella screamed. Everything happened so fast. Lord Richard pushed Alexander out of the way. The sword meant for Alexander went through Lord Richard's chest instead. The old man fell to the ground. "No!" Isabella dropped to her knees beside him. Blood was everywhere. Lord Richard looked up at her with dying eyes. "Read your mother's letter," he whispered. "The whole letter, there is more." Then his eyes closed. Isabella looked up at Thomas. Tears ran down her face. "What have you done?" Thomas looked shocked. He stared at his bloody sword. I did not mean he was not supposed." Royal guards surrounded them. They grabbed Thomas and pulled him away. He did not fight. He just kept staring at Lord Richard's body. Alexander knelt beside Isabella. "I am so sorry." Isabella stood up. Her dress was covered in blood. Her whole body shook with rage and grief. "Get away from me," she said quietly. "Isabella, please. Get away from me," she screamed. She ran. She did not know where. She just ran through the burning palace, through the smoke and chaos, until she found herself back in the library where this all started. The letter from her mother was still there. The one Lord Richard told her to read fully. With shaking hands, Isabella picked it up and read the rest. What she read changed everything she thought she knew. Isabella's hands shook as she read her mother's letter. The first part she had already seen, but now she read the rest, the part that had been folded and hidden. "My dearest Isabella, if you are reading this, then I am gone. But there is something you must know, something I never told your father, something that will protect you when the time comes. You are not alone in this world. You have a sister, a twin sister. When you were born, the doctors said one baby would not survive. They said I had to choose, but I could not choose between my daughters. So I made a plan with someone I trusted, a woman named Margaret who worked in the palace kitchen. We sent your sister away that same night. We told everyone she died. We had a funeral for a baby who never existed. Your sister went to live with Margaret in a small village far from the palace. I named her Emma. I visited her when I could. I sent money. I watched her grow from far away. She looked just like you. Same eyes, same smile. But she grew up free. Free from the crown. Free from duty. I made Margaret promise to tell Emma the truth when she turned 18. That was 2 months ago. Isabella, your sister knows about you now, and she's coming to find you. When she does, you must trust her. She is the only one who can help you escape if you need to. She is your freedom. I am sorry I kept this from you. I am sorry for so many things. But I did it all for love. Everything I did was to protect you both. Your loving mother, Queen Charlotte." Isabella read the letter 3 times. Her mother had another daughter. Isabella had a twin sister named Emma. But where was she? Had she come to the palace already? Was she here during all this chaos? A soft knock came at the library door. Isabella quickly hid the letter. "Who is there?" she called out. "It is me, your highness." A young woman's voice. "My name is Margaret's daughter. I have a message for you." Isabella opened the door carefully. A girl about her age stood there. She wore simple servant clothes. Her face was dirty from the smoke outside. "What message?" Isabella asked. "My mother told me to find you. She said if anything ever happened, I should bring you to the old wine cellar beneath the kitchen. There's a secret passage there. Why would I go with you? I do not even know you." The girl smiled sadly. "My mother was Queen Charlotte's closest friend. She trusted my mother with her greatest secret. And now that secret is waiting for you in the wine cellar." Isabella's heart began to race. "Emma, my sister is here." The girl nodded. "She arrived yesterday. She has been hiding and waiting. She wanted to meet you, but then the Silver Guard attacked. Everything went wrong. Take me to her. Now." They moved quickly through the palace. Most people were still outside fighting the fires or dealing with the arrested Silver Guards. The hallways were empty and dark. They went down old stone steps that Isabella had never noticed before. Down and down into the cold basement of the palace. Past the wine storage. Past the old armory. To a small wooden door hidden behind empty barrels. The girl knocked 3 times, then twice, then once. The door opened, and Isabella saw herself. The girl standing in the doorway looked exactly like her. Same face, same height, same dark hair and green eyes. It was like looking in a mirror. "Isabella," the girl whispered. "Emma." They stared at each other for a long moment. Then Emma smiled. It was a warm, real smile. Not the fake smiles Isabella had learned to give at court. "I have waited my whole life to meet you," Emma said. They hugged. Isabella started to cry. She did not know why. Maybe because for the first time in months, she felt like someone truly understood her. "I read Mother's letter," Isabella said. "She wrote that you were my freedom." What did she mean? Emma pulled her into the small room and closed the door. Inside were blankets, food, and bags packed with clothes. "She meant that we can switch places," Emma said. "We look exactly the same. Nobody would know the difference." Isabella's mind was spinning. Switch places? But why would we? Because you do not want to marry Prince Alexander. And I heard what happened tonight. The Silver Guards are after him. If you marry him, you will be in danger for the rest of your life. But what about the kingdom? What about my duty? Emma sat down on a wooden box. "I grew up learning about duty from my mother. She told me everything about palace life. She trained me just in case this day ever came. I can pretend to be you. I can marry the prince. I can play the role of princess. But you would be giving up your freedom, and you would be getting yours. Is that not what our mother wanted? She wanted at least one of us to be free. Isabella sat down beside her sister. I do not understand. Why would you do this for me? You do not even know me. Emma took Isabella's hand. Because you're my sister. Because our mother loved us both enough to make an impossible choice. And because... Emma's voice became quieter. Because I have met Prince Alexander before. What? When? 3 days ago. Before he came to the palace. He stopped in our village. His carriage broke down on the way here. I helped him fix it. We talked for hours. He told me about his problems. About his dying father. About the woman he loved named Elena. About feeling trapped. Emma's cheeks turned pink. He was kind and honest. He made me laugh. And when he left, I could not stop thinking about him. Isabella looked at her sister with new eyes. You have feelings for him. I know it is foolish. I know he's promised to you. But yes, I think I could love him. And maybe, with time, he could love me too. Suddenly everything made sense. Their mother's plan. The secret sister. The chance to switch. But before Isabella could answer, footsteps echoed down the stone hallway. Many footsteps. Coming fast. They found us. Margaret's daughter whispered from the doorway. The door burst open. But it was not guards. It was Queen Victoria. And behind her were 6 men with swords. Victoria looked at Isabella and Emma. Her eyes went wide. Then she started to laugh. It was a cold, cruel laugh. 2 princesses, she said. How interesting. This changes everything. She snapped her fingers. The men grabbed both Isabella and Emma. You should have stayed hidden, little sister, Victoria said to Emma. Now I have to kill you both. Queen Victoria stepped closer to the twins. Her face was filled with hate and anger. I worked too hard to let 2 little girls ruin everything, she said. When I married your father, I thought I would be queen forever. But then he promised the crown would pass to you, Isabella. Do you know how that felt? To be so close to real power and have it taken away. You are already queen, Isabella said. Queen consort, not a real queen. Just a decoration on your father's arm. Victoria's voice was shaking with rage. But I made a new plan. If you married Prince Alexander, and if something happened to you after the wedding, then I would rule as regent until your children came of age. 20 years of power. All mine. You were going to kill me? Isabella whispered. It would have looked like an accident. Maybe the silver guards would have been blamed. So convenient. Victoria smiled her cold smile. But now there are 2 of you. That makes things complicated. I will have to kill you both. Emma stood up straight. You will not touch my sister. Victoria laughed. And what will you do? You're just a kitchen girl playing dress-up. She is more royal than you will ever be, Isabella said. The men with swords moved forward. Isabella and Emma backed against the wall. There was nowhere to run. Then a voice came from the shadows. Let them go, Victoria. Everyone turned. Prince Alexander stepped into the light. His arm was still bleeding, but he stood tall and strong. Behind him were 10 royal guards. And behind them was someone Isabella did not expect to see. Thomas, the young man who had killed Lord Richard. But now his hands were not tied. He stood free next to Alexander. You, Victoria pointed at Thomas. Guards, arrest that murderer. No, Alexander said firmly. Thomas is under my protection now. He told me everything. About Lady Catherine. About what my father did. And about what you did, Victoria. Victoria's face went white. I did not know what lies he told you. Lady Catherine is not dead, Alexander said. She is alive. Thomas found her 3 months ago. She has been hiding in the mountains, afraid to come back. Afraid of my father. And afraid of you. Me? I had nothing to do with. You were the one who told my father about Catherine's discovery. Alexander's voice was strong and clear. You were visiting Northland when Catherine found the documents. You heard her talking about it. You ran to my father and warned him. You helped him arrest her. Victoria's men looked at each other nervously. They were not sure who to believe anymore. Why would I do that? Victoria asked, but her voice was weaker now. Because my father promised you something in return, Alexander said. He promised that when he died, and when I became king of Northland, I would marry Isabella and make you the regent of both kingdoms. 2 kingdoms under your control. Isabella felt like she had been hit. Is this true? Alexander nodded sadly. I only learned about it tonight. Thomas told me everything. He has proof. Letters between Victoria and my father. Plans they made together. Victoria's face twisted with anger. So what if I did? I was securing the future, making alliances, doing what needed to be done. You helped imprison an innocent woman, Emma said quietly. You planned to murder your own stepdaughter. You are not securing anything. You're just evil. Victoria pulled a small knife from her dress. She grabbed Emma and put the knife to her throat. Nobody move, Victoria shouted, or the kitchen girl dies. Isabella screamed. No, but Emma did not look afraid. She looked angry. In one quick move, she stomped on Victoria's foot, twisted away from the knife, and pushed Victoria backwards. Victoria fell hard on the stone floor. The knife flew from her hand. The royal guards surrounded her immediately. I'm not just a kitchen girl, Emma said, breathing hard. My mother taught me to fight. She said a woman should always be able to protect herself. The guards pulled Victoria to her feet. She struggled and screamed, but it was over. Take her to the prison tower, Alexander commanded. She will be tried for conspiracy and attempted murder. As the guards dragged Victoria away, she shouted back at them. You will all regret this. I have powerful friends. You cannot do this to me. But nobody listened. She was gone. Isabella ran to Emma and hugged her tight. You saved me. You saved us both. That is what sisters do, Emma said with a smile. Alexander walked over to them. He bowed his head respectfully. Princess Isabella, I owe you an apology, and an explanation, and probably 1,000 other things. You can start by explaining what happens now, Isabella said. With the marriage, with the alliance, with everything. Alexander took a deep breath. My father died 2 hours ago. A messenger brought the news during the attack. I am now the king of Northland. Emma gasped softly. And as king, my first act is to break our engagement, Alexander said to Isabella. This marriage was built on lies and schemes. You deserve better. The alliance between our kingdoms will be based on friendship and trade, not forced marriage. Isabella felt relief wash over her. Thank you. Alexander turned to Emma. Even in her dirty servant clothes, with her hair messy and her face smudged with smoke, she looked beautiful. I do not know if you remember me, Alexander said to her, but we met a few days ago. You helped fix my carriage. Emma smiled. I remember. You told me that real strength comes from knowing who you are, not from the crown you wear. Those words stayed with me. They gave me courage to face the truth tonight. I am glad, Emma said softly. I know this is sudden. I know I have no right to ask. But Alexander took Emma's hand carefully. Would you allow me to write to you? To visit you? To know you better? Emma's eyes filled with happy tears. Yes, I would like that very much. Isabella watched her sister and felt joy in her heart. This is what their mother wanted. For both of them to choose love over duty. 3 months later, Isabella stood in a beautiful garden. She was not wearing a crown or a fancy dress. She wore simple traveling clothes. In her bag were books, paints, and her mother's letters. She was going to explore the world, to learn, to be free. Emma stood beside her, now dressed as a princess. In 2 months, she would marry King Alexander. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to, because they had fallen in love through letters and visits and honest conversations. Are you sure about this? Emma asked. You are giving up everything. No, Isabella said. I'm gaining everything. Freedom, choice, life. The sisters hugged one last time. Write to me, Emma said. Every week, Isabella promised. As Isabella rode away from the palace, she looked back once. Emma waved from the garden. Alexander stood beside her, his arm around her waist. They looked happy. They looked free. And so was Isabella. She thought about her mother's letter, about the forgotten promise, about love being more important than crowns. Her mother had been right all along. The best way to protect someone you love is to give them the freedom to choose their own path. And Isabella had finally chosen hers. The end.